The Predator, a modern man, drip for days, and lethal as hell. There are 7 movies in the Predator franchise, 5 mainline and 2 versus Aliens movies because of Predator 2 and comic books, I guess. Do you know your Predator history? Are you sure?
But did you know?
The movie Predator exists because of Rocky Balboa, literally. After Rocky IV came out, it became a bit of an in-joke in Hollywood that in Rocky V, should it inevitably be made in the future, Rocky would need to fight an alien because Balboa had already busted up every dude on the planet. And judging by the reception Rocky V eventually got, that sentiment rings true. He should have fought an alien. But let me throw you a curveball. What if Rocky did fight an alien? 2 brothers, Jim and John Thomas, were trying to break in as screenwriters in Hollywood. They started this script as a bit, morphing into a script called Hunter. You know, special forces dudes fighting an alien in Central America. Dreams are born. It's very paramilitary 80s action wank juice, and it works. The film only cost $15 million and made $100 worldwide. They spent more on Predator 2, more than doubling the budget for that, strange and fairly extreme but lovable sequel. Predator 2 is peak 1990s idea of the desperate 1997 future where people smoke much weed and get into gang fights. No, I'm not making that up. Weed makes you a murderer, according to Predator 2. More importantly, in the grand scheme of the film business, it made less than $60 million, and to some of the reviews, they weren't all that great. At the time, most were favorable to Danny Glover, though many were upset that Arnold did not return. And here's the thing, Schwarzenegger was supposed to return, but contract negotiations always get in the way. They got Gary Busey, which was a very textbook maneuver in the 1990s. So, you know, and then the long Predator silence begins. We hear tiny PG-13 sort of peeps from Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2 before finally the Predator franchise returns to the screen in 2010's Predators, a double entendre, so to speak. It cost about $40 million and made about 3 times that. It went okay, but critical reception on this one is mixed. But it's profitable. After a few years, it is then that Shane Black himself takes his swing with 2018's The Predator. Just going on the facts here, cost about $90 million, takes in about $200, so to speak, which is very much not taking into account marketing. And I think it really put me in a strange headspace because this was written and directed by Shane Black, fresh off The Nice Guys, an all-time hit, which is probably the best movie he's ever made. And also, he was definitely an actor in the first Predator, so this all kind of like fit together in a way that on paper, I think, told a different story. Of movies I would have bet on prior to release, I was all in on The Predator. And I was so wrong.
But did you know?
Schwarzenegger was also asked on this movie to reprise his role from the first Predator in The Predator, and he said no again, but this time it was because he read the script. This is not a joke. He read it and was like, absolutely not. And before we get to the very fun thing of talking about Prey, we first have to talk about a pretty significant lawsuit. This movie goes as far as to make commentary on American action cinema using the tools of American action cinema. It's kind of brilliant. Besides, everyone knows that Predator 2 has always been the key to everything.
Take it. 1715.
Predator 2 solved storytelling. There, boom. Okay, we're getting into the weeds on this one, but they're fun weeds. Lather me up in weeds. Weeds for all. Jim and John Thomas, brothers, raised in Bakersfield, California, worked as writers on many a film together. Their bangers include Predator, a concept they fully came up with themselves, which led nicely into their next film, Predator 2. They go on to write Executive Decision, Wild Wild West, a movie we famously made these faces through.
This is unwatchable.
And most recently, Behind Enemy Lines. Here I'll cut straight to the lead. The current owner of the Predator IP is Disney. The Thomas brothers tried for some years to get it back, and this isn't the cleanest dispute, so I'll drop you through the Cliffs Notes. John and Jim Thomas in 2021 sued 20th Century Fox, aka Disney, for the rights to their screenplay Hunter. Well, technically they were suing to have the IP rights revert back to them. It's been roughly 35 years, and what was Disney going to do with it? Being that the mouse is famously all about artists getting the rights to their art back, Disney countersued the brothers for a premature reclamation of IP rights. They said, and I'm quoting here,
This action is necessary because defendants are improperly attempting to prematurely terminate 20th Century's rights to the Hunter screenplay at the very time that 20th Century is investing substantial time, money, and effort in developing another installment in the successful Predator franchise.
Keep all that in your brain because this terminology is going to end up being pretty important. But since Disney had a Predator reboot cool in the can they had some interest in getting out, they settled with the brothers for an undisclosed sum of money. This clears the road to put Prey on Hulu, a movie extremely intent on bringing everything back to the original premise of the franchise. You must hunt and be hunted, and the main characters in these movies are rarely equipped to do so. And we will see more of this for sure as IP rights sail along in the oceans of corporate consolidation and they need a little money. IP rights are the new tradable card game for huge multi-billion-dollar corporations. We will see many more studios besides Warner Brothers bargaining with them, and hopefully more artists get paid for the shit they came up with in the first place. And herein contains the thing I appreciate most about Prey, aka Predator 5, aka Predator Origins. It's a perfect little Predator movie that goes hard in the paint. And it almost didn't happen so many times. Dan Trachtenberg, being an enormous fan of the franchise, almost didn't get to do this. If, for example, 2018's The Predator had become a Shane Black trilogy as very much intended, Prey wouldn't have happened. It's a small, emotional, heartfelt, grisly, and perfect little movie. Undoubtedly the best movie since the first one, though I do have a soft spot for Adrian Brody putting on 20 pounds of muscle to play Muscles Johnson? Is that his name? Also, Walton Goggins. That's the tweet. It's Walton Goggins. It's awesome. But of course, today in this video essay, we're here to talk about Prey. Prey is a 2022 film directed by Dan Trachtenberg and written by Patrick Olson, and they share the story by credit on this film. But on a more direct level, this film saw creative restraint in many ways that you just do not see all the time in major motion pictures. There is no blue space laser, so to speak. At the end of the day, Trachtenberg is just a director built differently. Like, how does one even decompress from directing the pilot of The Boys to go on and direct a subtle celebration of nature and the damage we do to it, laced with a Native American action blockbuster Predator movie? It's awesome. The thing you had no idea you absolutely needed to see. So I want to talk about Trachtenberg. A thing I've obviously done in the past with the 10 Cloverfield Lane episode, an episode where I was still trying to get off the floor, so to speak, and I think my Prey musings are going to test the limits of the term movie or film, but for the purposes of this video, Prey is a movie and a damn good one. And yes, I am aware it was nominated for 6 Emmys. Shh. which the reality is that Spider-Man and Tom Cruise had already saved cinema by the time the movie had come out as a streaming-only banger on Hulu, and it's still there. Go watch it. Released directly to Hulu. It's a weird world we live in. Hey, for starters, maybe a theatrical run for Prey. That'd be cool, Disney. The reality is that Hollywood has been trying all kinds of release models in an effort to obfuscate profitability at a time when the business is murkier than ever. So more directly, there's pretty much no way to talk about profitability with Prey. It's a platform seller.
Sign up for a Verizon smartwatch and get a package that comes with Hulu and Disney Plus for some reason. Watch Prey though, it's pretty true.
It was watched more than Netflix's The Gray Man, but less than Disney's Lightyear, based on Nielsen streaming numbers. This is the movie about the character that the Predator, our primary antagonist, literally does not see. Naru paints herself in the blood of a relentless alien hunter so people can see her. A Comanche hunter, even though everyone believes she isn't. A movie about going through hell and emerging on the other side like, yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I was here the whole time. A movie that seemingly came out of nowhere as we emerged from our COVID cocoon. Wait, is this a new Predator film? It was the easiest sell in the world. No big press tour about an imagined series of world building and spin-offs. No grand promise of a future metaverse. We didn't even have to leave our house. Rewind the IP death march from our current hellscape to 2016. A hellscape in training. This was when Trachtenberg got the idea for this movie, a standalone one-off. He emailed in a pitch to 20th Century knowing that they were prepping this other huge tentpole Shane Black rebootquel thing. We live in the twilight of perpetual rebootquel, and herein is the point of this essay. Maybe when you think it's time to hook your existing small IP up to a field of car batteries, it might be time for a small, thoughtful brawl of a film. Hypothetically, maybe we liked Iron Man Once Upon a Time because it was simple. As simple as those films ever were. Prey is the story of itself. I don't know how anyone is making a movie right now that could take a big IP and just tell a little story. Pay homage to the very fabric of the universe. Go to the mat in a way that you don't often see, let alone in American action cinema. Difficulty level, a billion. This is masterful to create an emotional action showpiece with one arm tied behind your back. At worst, according to Dan, if the kitchen sink, his words, Predator tentpole doesn't work out in the long run, maybe this stripped down extremely back to the meat and potatoes of the franchise kind of action movie is in your back pocket, if you need it. Toodles. To me, this doesn't sound like a normal pathway to a green light in Hollywood, but it is, frankly, adorable. Fast forward a few years, and wouldn't you know it, his little Hey If You Need It film project gets a phone call right around the time 20th Century Fox is getting the first real look at The Predator. The rebootquel miss. Hate to see it. And this whole story has a punchline, a funny anecdote to illustrate our dystopian farcical reality as if through a mirror. When Mr. Trachtenberg and co. had finished their film and were playing it for test audiences, get those drums a-rolling, they repeatedly got the feedback that people were concerned that the alien's blood is supposed to be acid. So roll that around in your brain and understand the pressures that are to be any entertainer at this moment right now. You are playing to the cheap seats. You are playing for every seat, and somehow this movie emerged as a marvel of modern cinema. That's the world we made, a world where every larger tentpole behemoth has to appeal to the largest group of people. Dear Hollywood, this right here, Prey is a gift to cinema. Sometimes the bet on a smaller, more impactful film by artists led by someone that knows what they're doing, that shows genuine care and respect for the source material, is probably a really good strategy. For example, believing in any type of automation in search of infinite sustainable growth is just not how humans or art even work. Am I crazy? Restraint. It's a word I would not often use to describe the illustrious design ambitions of Hollywood. Just execute on a simple story and do it remarkably well. You know, a movie, an art thing to make you feel stuff. I didn't think anyone would make a film in the Predator franchise this well in my lifetime. Prey is a home run on the classic level. Yeah, I said it. I think the situation that Hollywood finds itself in consistently again and again for an almost comical 100-year history is of business dorks taking advantage of the artists. Tale as old as cinematic time, we can illustrate so much about Hollywood using this movie. It's like a magic trick. Prepare to be dazzled, my young Padawans. Let us, with the broadest of strokes, talk about the nuclear discourse surrounding any franchise film that comes out right now. Go ahead and picture the end of the Lego movie in your mind. Go on, just hold on to it for the remainder of this section. If you are a Hollywood executive, put that in your mind super extra hard because you almost certainly learned the wrong lessons from this film. Getting in on the pre-discourse on this one, Hollywood will learn the wrong lessons based on the success of Barbie to an entirely hilarious, almost decade-long degree. I was gonna make a joke here about preparing for the Polly Pocket movie, Polly Pocket Generations, which they just announced this morning with Lena We live in a hell. Pause. Hi, hello, Michael here. Extremely sorry for the density of framing device in part 4, but to show you how far the Prey home run goes, we have to properly frame the metaphysical horror that 2023 bedazzles us on a sometimes hourly basis. I'm doing a nostalgia thing. I felt this episode in my bones. Unpause. Nostalgia is the opiate of the masses. Remember that time, an amorphous, fuzzy-feeling time where the world was a picture of lemonade and sunshine. There goes Movie Michael again, adding an ocean of context to a movie about angry boys with pincer faces. Yikes. Prey is somehow the least cynical thing in an unfailing menagerie of cynical things. A movie that unquestionably proves you can revisit an 80s or 90s action franchise with a modern lens and walk away with something profound. The Predator didn't even see her. It would be nigh impossible to illustrate that any more bluntly. In fact, it might even be illegal. Top Gun Maverick, an absolute banger I make everyone watch constantly, wishes it had the reverence for a legacy franchise that Prey does. In spades. A sort of turbulent franchise that has been brought back to life in multiple filmmaking eras to mixed results. Hell, it should show you that creative control is a nebulous power when working in the AAA studio system, where movies have to be 20 things simultaneously, where John Peters' Superman movie is looked back on with manufactured reverence. Maybe it wasn't about lore burritos. Maybe we just like good stories told well. Dan had an idea, held onto it, and managed to greenlight a film because I think studios realized adding a robot predator probably wasn't it. And that statement is obviously some amount of true. It's sort of astounding that Prey, a movie that costs somewhere around $40 million less dollars to relaunch a franchise when the reboot to the reboot failed to launch. Pay your artists and listen to them. That's the reveal. Trying to make everything huge isn't sustainable, and to be honest, it's kind of tiring us all out. And it's tiring your creators out. that Prey could come out and illustrate that small movies can make us relate to the human condition again. Naru just wants to provide for the people around her, and no one saw her. Pretty relatable. Like it's a narrative we care about outside of the alien storyline. Will people see Naru? And this has all ignored an enormous fact about the Predator IP specifically. There is no way to talk about the origins of the Predator franchise and not give heartily due respect to the original director John McTiernan and the Predator man himself, Stan Winston. A franchise is so much more than just a character. McTiernan directed Predator and Die Hard back to back. I still don't think there's an action director that has affected the industry in such a way. Those two movies literally changed how action directors approached their subject matter. I think Trachtenberg is the first director in the franchise history that delivered something that rivaled the work of John and Stan. That is saying something because none of the other films in the franchise hold a candle to the first one. And it is with Shane Black that we'll end on. When he saw a cut of Prey, his reaction was quite telling. He owns the failure of the Predator not being what people were looking for, but it was upon seeing Prey that he responded. Like, what now is attracting so much attention in this wonderful art piece that just came out, which had echoes of Kubrick? Kubrick is such a keystone example here, the art house approach to Predator. I'd be lying if I said I thought this was an inaccurate statement. Reverence was also the word he used, a reverence of the material, not a send-up. Any way you slice it, Prey is a masterpiece of modern cinema. Maybe it's okay to tell small stories again.
With your confirmation, we're having a mission. We're ready to serve all of you.
Oh, hey, we were just hanging out in Los Angeles. That's in California now. We've been here for about a month, and we just released a brand new video on Nebula about the entire story of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's Nebula, you say? It's a streaming platform run by and for creators who are tired of not having any stake in the platforms they create for. It's the streaming platform for big-time projects, and the only place you can see Lindsay Ellis's newer videos like the new Jurassic Park Turns 30. As a Nebula First channel, it's also where FilmJoy videos go to live a happy life before being forced to fight for survival on the tough streets of YouTube. So anytime you see a video here, the next one is already up on Nebula. For the month of September, Nebula is offering lifetime memberships for only $300. That's a lot of movies for Mikey. With a lifetime membership, you enjoy access to Nebula for as long as both you and Nebula exist. Now, we are committed to producing new Nebula originals with bigger budgets. Lifetime membership is simply the best way to help us do that. If you sign up using our code in the description, 1/3 of that will go to us directly. The rest will help us create new originals and continue to develop Nebula into an even better platform. If you're not ready to commit to us for life, we also have an annual subscription. If you sign up using our link, go.nebula.tv/filmjoy, you can get a year of Nebula for only $30, and it's completely ad-free. If you like what we do and you want to help us keep making videos, supporting us on Nebula is a fantastic way to do that. We'll see you next time.